Ibiono Federal Constituency in Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill, and I want to thank the mover of this bill because it is very, very germane. Mr. Speaker, in supporting this bill, I want to say that each time that we rise up to speak about cancer, we are always portraying, we are always presenting a facade as if cancer is not being treated in Nigeria, as if cancer is always being treated outside this country. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that as a medical doctor, I can tell you that thousands of cancer cases are being treated in Nigeria. It is only the problem we have is that most of us or most Nigerians only probably know 2 types of cancer. And each time we talk about cancer, we are talking of prostatic cancer, that's cancer of the prostate, or cancer of the cervix. We have cancers like Burkitt's lymphoma, which is very common in young age groups. And those ones are very, very amenable to drugs. A lot of these cancers are being treated. And that is why we must encourage research and encourage this bill to sell through, because once that is done, then a lot of capital flight that leaves this country to India will not be there. Mr. Speaker, the reason why we must support this bill and support the establishment of this Cancer Research Center is that cancer is insidious in onset. By that I mean it starts slowly. Quite unlike malaria that can kill, that is an acute illness, it starts slowly, and that means it gives us time for us to prepare. For instance, you can hardly find prostatic cancer, that is cancer of the prostate, below the age of 50 years. Because by the time you get to 50 years, your prostate starts to enlarge. And there are certain things that cause your prostate to enlarge. You can never have cancer of the prostate in females because the prostate gland is not found in females. You can never have cancer of the cervix in men because men don't have cancer of the cervix. So in most cases of cancer, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we know the causes of cancer. So it is easier for us to prevent it. For instance, there are cancers that are associated with lifestyle. For example, when you talk of cancer of the lungs, you attribute it to people that smoke. And then people that stay around people that smoke. And so you hardly will find such cancers where people that are not smoking will be there. And then when it starts, it does not just start and kill you immediately. It starts and gives you time. And that is why it is insidious and gives us time to prepare and we can research. And then we find out that some cancer that are prevalent in other countries are not found in Nigeria. And so, Mr. Speaker, when we look at all this, and the fact that a lot of these cancers are being treated in Nigeria, then we must encourage this research and this bill to sell through so that we keep a lot of money, a lot of foreign exchange that leaves this country back into this country. Apart from that too, Mr. Speaker, cancer is also a chronic illness. It's not an acute illness. So even when somebody has had cancer, the person does not just wake up and die like malaria or pneumonia or meningitis that kills much more. The person has time. So when you have cancer, for example, cancer of the breast or cancer of the cervix, it does not just kill you in one day, except if it has reached the late stage. So when we are talking of cancer, we talk of the primary prevention, which allows you to prevent it before it develops. And then when you talk of the secondary prevention, when somebody has already had cancer and is being treated, you can prevent it from extending to a more complicated stage. And it gives you time. Now, when you want to talk of the third degree prevention is when you have had it, and for example, you have cancer of the cervix being treated, the complications have arisen, you try to prevent further complications from happening. And so, Mr. Speaker, this bill, for me, it is very, very germane and needs to be supported. And then, we must also encourage, like I said, let us not be disillusioned. Cancer is being treated in Nigeria. In fact, it is one illness that if a lot is being put into it, it can be treated. Now, my colleague has just said that there is only one machine that exists in this country, and that is true. Mr. Speaker, take, for example, somebody that is going for treatment for cancer of the cervix or cancer of the breast, where you need to have chemotherapy. And this chemotherapy, it kills, once you take a dose of methotrexate for cancer treatment because cancer is just a part of your body cell that develops much more and much faster than every other cell in the tissue. For example, you have your breast. A part of the breast now decides to develop as many times as possible, many million times faster than your normal cell. So when you take methotrexate, which is part of the treatment, it kills your normal body cells much more than the cancer cell. That's why when you see somebody that is on cancer treatment, a beautiful lady or a very handsome man just becomes very, very aged and very, very ill because a lot of the tissues are being destroyed. So when you go for radiotherapy, we have only one machine. After a bout of radiotherapy, you're supposed to be given a time for you to rest. We call it a resting phase for you to rest so that your body will recover. Now, because we have only one machine, by the time you're supposed to go back for another treatment, a lot of people are queuing up for just that one machine. You now find that most of them will now die in the process because your time that you would have gone for the treatment has passed. And then once that is done, your body becomes resistant to the drug. So apart from encouraging this bill, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we also must encourage that the tertiary institutions like the teaching hospital has as many of these machines as possible. And once this is done, the money that is being taken out of this country to India will be preserved in this country. And then it will also create a lot of jobs for our teeming Nigerians who are actually the ones that are actually treating these cancer cases when they leave the shores of this country. So, Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill in all amount of sincerity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sunday Adepoju.